Welcome back, guys! Today I'm going to show you how to put the weft onto your weaving and how to do a basic weave. If you don't have a loom that looks like this with warp strings going vertically, you need to go back and watch that tutorial so that you know what's going on. Before we begin, I want you to notice that there's one end of your loom that has two tied down strings and the other side that doesn't. We're going to make that side, the part that doesn't have those ties on, the bottom of our weaving. To begin, I'm going to grab my first color, and I grabbed about 2 arms lengths of this color, and tie one end onto the side of my warp string. And then I'm going to take the other end, and this yarn tends to unravel, so I'm just going to grab a piece of masking tape and tape it around the edge so that it doesn't do that before I begin weaving. Okay, now I'm ready to begin my weaving. So I'm going to start by going underneath the second string, over the third, and under the fourth, and over, under, skipping all the way across this loom. One thing I want you to notice here is if I pull this string too tight, look at what happens to my warp. It starts to bend in, and the further up I weave, the worse it will get and the more they will tangle, and it gets really frustrating and horrible for students. So to prevent it, I'm going to just tug on the opposite side just to give it a little bit less tension and to prevent that from doing it. Look closely at my weaving and notice how I go over, under, every other string all the way across. The last string I went under, so for the second row I'm going to do the opposite, and I'm going to go over the first string and under the second. I'll then continue to go over, under, all the way across on this end as well. And when I pull that string through, I want to be careful not to pull it too tight so that the warp starts to bend in. And if you do accidentally, you just pull the opposite direction just to straighten it out again. Check your weaving after you have your second row and make sure you don't have any mistakes. It's very easy to pull it out and fix it at this point. I'll then continue to use up the rest of my first color of yarn. My first color is almost completely used up, but I wanted to show you a close-up of how your weaving should look and how you can just press it down like this so that you don't see the colors of your warp. As I get close to the end of my color, I want to check and see if I can make it all the way across. This time I can't, so now I will just tie it on to the end of my warp string and change colors. It doesn't really matter how you tie a knot, just so that it stays secure. It will work just fine. And you can cut off the tails as you go, or you can wait till the end to do that. I'll then grab my second color and tie the end of my second color onto my warp string, just like I did the first. I need to put tape on this string as well because I'm still using the same yarn. And if you look close, you'll notice the last time I went over this second yarn. So now I'm going to do the opposite and go under it with this new color and continue to weave it as normal. I do have a few different weaving tools that you're welcome to use. I have this needle, this long needles, and then also these wooden tools. And the wooden tools are great for if you have a lot of string. And what you do is you wrap your string around them and then use them to weave. Some people love to use those wooden tools for their whole weaving. Some people hate them and never use them at all. Personally, I like to use them when I have a lot of yarn so it doesn't get tangled up. I'm going to continue to weave here a third color, and I'm just going to mention that I do have another video where I show you different types of weaves rather than just this basic weave. Weaving is a long process and it can get really boring if you don't mix it up and keep things interesting. At this point, I hope you have a really good understanding of the basic weave. Make sure you check out my next video on more complex weaves. And thank you so much for watching.